Good morning. Don't I look awful? I fix my hat. My face always gets really puffy when I sleep on the ground like this. I look terrible. Oh, battery's almost dead. Time to switch. It's almost 8 a.m. I've actually been awake for maybe a half hour. But it was a really cold night with my thermals and my puffer coat and my flannel and the quilt, the jungle blanket. If I came out from underneath the quilt at all, I felt it. It definitely got into the 30s overnight. So what I've been doing is just laying here under the quilt, waiting for the sun to hit the tent. Usually I get up before the sun, but it was just too cold without a fire. Normally I would, if it was this cold, I would wake up and make a fire. So I've just been laying here trying to stay warm. It's finally feeling bearable. I was fine as long as I was under this. But if I came out from under it at all, I felt it right away. What's going to help right now is to get out and move around and heat up some breakfast and some hot chocolate and warm my body up. It's definitely not summer anymore. I spent the summer up here not needing my thermals, half the time kicking this off in the middle of the night. I sleep very warm, so if I get cold, it's really cold. But I can't see my breath or anything. There's no condensation on the tent. It was a good night. I slept really well. I'm really quite pleased. After the gunfire incident, it continued to happen for about another hour. Sometimes a shot, and then nothing for 20 minutes, and then a shot, and then nothing for 20 minutes, and then several shots. I don't know what was going on there. My inclination is to think that somebody got drunk, and that made sense to them. I know what I'll do. I'll shoot stuff while it's dark and I'm wasted. I don't know. I don't know what people are thinking. Also, a little while after I came on, I had all my lights off in my tent and was watching my movie quietly, and a group of 3 or 4 backpackers walked right through my camp, and they were discussing setting up camp right here. They didn't even notice my tent. I was like, unbelievable. So I turned on the flashlight, the lantern here, and lit the tent up, and they all just kind of stopped talking and said, dude, there's already someone here. It was dark enough, they didn't see me at all. And so they stood there discussing where they were going to camp. They were pretty bummed. Apparently they had this spot picked out in mind that no one's going to be there, kind of thing. So they hiked further down along the shoreline and found a campsite. I could see their flashlights when I got up to use the restroom and look at the stars. I could see their flashlights maybe 200 yards away. Anyway, that was weird. It was after dark and they were standing here. They were practically going to unload their gear. I could hear them right outside my tent. Really surprised them when all of a sudden this blue and white tent lit up. And I turned up my movie and made it clear, hey, piss off, without saying anything to them. I couldn't believe it though. If that happened, I'd be like, oh crap, and move on. They stood here continuing to discuss, well, what should we do? Where should we go? This is where we wanted to camp. Dude, somebody's here. Get the F out of here and discuss it elsewhere. It's, it was probably 10:30. I don't remember the time frame. It was after the gunfire. Anyway, strange night, but once I'd used the bathroom, those people moved on, the gunfire finally settled down. I just passed out, and I slept a good 9 hours. It's time to warm up out there. This is nice. This is comfy. I could stay here for quite a while, but time is limited, so it's time to heat myself up from the inside. Okay. Let's see what today looks like. I heard a chipmunk fight out here a little while ago. Maybe they were picked up by the trail camera, I'm not sure. Interesting thing about these shoes. I was working at the hospital. Not tonight, last night, but last night, Friday night, and a stroke patient was brought in. They were working on him in one of the rooms, and I was sitting there in the emergency room watching a patient who'd had a drunken fight with his wife and threatened to kill himself. And the police brought him in, so I had to watch him for a little while, keep him calm and talk to him and that kind of thing. And I could see the stroke patient being worked on, and his feet were up on the bed, and he was wearing these identical shoes. These Asics is what they are. And as you can see, I've worn them down quite a bit. This will be the last season for these. I kind of took it as a hint that it's time to retire the shoes. Guy having a stroke wearing the same shoes. I don't know why, but I kind of associated that with, hey, I have those shoes. Maybe it's time to let them go. There's a squirrel in this tree right here, running up and down it. I'm not sure where he went, but yeah, I definitely have had some small animals in camp this morning. Sun's not quite up. More proof that the days are getting shorter. Usually by 8 a.m. the sun's up here. So anyway, I'll shut up. Let's get some warm food in my tummy. Don't want to forget this. I did it once. I had to hike back in and get it. Not a cheap camera. They make better ones now, but incidentally, this is made by Browning, and Browning is headquartered in Ogden, or a little town east of Ogden called Morgan, Utah, and Mr. Browning that founded the company is buried in the Ogden City Cemetery. I've seen his grave. So if you use Browning products, whether it's rifles, cameras, whatever, you can thank this little symbol right here when you see it. You can thank Mr. Browning from my current hometown. Looks like we got some smoke out there. Somebody started a fire. As cold as I was and as tempted as I was, I really was tempted to start a fire anyway, just for the sake of survival, for lack of a better word. I knew I'd be okay without one. If it had gotten any colder, I would have broken the rules. I mean, when it comes down to, should I risk a forest fire or should I survive? I'm gonna survive. Anyway, those backpackers came in. I could hear them. They came in down this trail, and they literally, here's their footprints. They literally stood right here. My tent is right here. So they were standing where I am. My tent's right there in the dark. And they're saying, yeah, this is a good site, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden I lit my tent up. They went, dude, someone's here. And then they headed off somewhere beyond those trees. Yeah, I can see them now. I can see one of them. Right there in the orange coat, that little dot moving around. Those are the people that came through my camp. They didn't have flashlights. I remember one of them saying that they forgot their flashlight. So that's probably why they didn't see my tent. Anyway, I keep talking, and I'm still cold. I just noticed my cook pot is knocked over. That had hot chocolate in it, and I forgot to rinse it out. So I'm thinking some chipmunk or squirrel crawled inside that. It was standing upright. Yeah, that's been licked clean, and there's debris in it. That's gross. I'm gonna have to rinse it out, wipe it out, and then thank goodness I'll be boiling water in it. Little buggers. Never had chipmunk hot chocolate before. First time for everything. All clean. Well, you know, as clean as it can get without soap. This will be the first time I've needed these this year. My hands are not happy right now. These are lifesavers, I tell you. It'll take a while to warm up, but they'll last for 10 hours. Hot hands. In the future, I'm going to have to bring gloves for sure. It's one thing I haven't had to even think about so far. Put that in my pocket and let it warm up. While this heats up, I'm gonna get the bear bag. branch. Useless footage right now. Now, if you're wondering why I just made the cocoa in this and dumped it in this. In my previous videos, I've mentioned my buddy Joe gave me this when we went to Naomi Lake a couple months ago, almost 3 months ago now. And I don't want to blacken the blue sheen on it by cooking in it. This is just for drinking from. So if it's a hot drink, I'll heat it in my cook pot right there. And then I'll pour it into this. And I also need my cook pot to refill with water to heat up the mashed potatoes I'm having for breakfast. Sounds more appealing than the marinara meatballs that I was supposed to have for dinner last night. The rice and beans would have been good for breakfast, but I don't know, meatballs just doesn't do it for me right now. So we're going to rinse that out again. We're going to drink this and warm up. We're going to heat up some mashed potatoes. So I put the pouch in first and then filled it with water. Can't quite cover it, but it'll do. What a beautiful morning. It's starting to warm up a little into the 40s. Whew. Love these hot hands. Just touching that ice cold water, it was painful. So the plan today, I'm touching the cup because it's warm. The plan today is to just kind of explore this area, just take a hike. I always like to do that. I'm not big on just hiking in, setting up camp, hanging around camp, heading back home. A lot of people do that. I think most of these people, that's what they're doing. And I like to get out and explore my surroundings and get to know the area better. The last time I was here with my son several years ago, I've mentioned, this is the same campsite. We just stayed in camp, we fished, we cooked fish, we cleaned our dishes, we hung out at camp almost the entire time. So I don't know Naomi Lake or Notch Lake very well. I'm getting my trips mixed up now. Naomi Lake is something I do know pretty well. And that was a really fun trip with Joe. I was kind of hoping we could get out again this year before it got too cold, but he lives in Boise. You know, he's several hours away, and he's a truck driver, he's on the road a lot, he's married, he's a very busy man, so we do text here and there and keep in contact. There will be another Steve and Joe outing, I'm sure. It's just a matter of arranging it. There were more frequent outings before because he lived literally 30 minutes away from me at one time. So I'm hoping for more trips with Joe and more trips with my kids. I don't know if I'm going to continue filming. I keep going back and forth on filming my kids. It's not a safety thing or anything. It's just people don't watch those videos as much, and my kids don't like being in the videos as much. They do here and there. They like to kind of be, but if you watch the video, they're kind of like, you got the camera on again. You can see it in their eyes. They don't get excited about it. Dylan, he's turning into quite the little potential YouTuber. He videos and takes pictures of everything. And Catherine Gregory said in comments in my last video with the boys at Fair Lake that she'd be interested in seeing his photography. He seemed really into it. And he is really into it, but he used a Nintendo DS to make video and take pictures. And so when I went to insert it into the video, it was not compatible. The files were not compatible with my editing program. So I couldn't include them, unfortunately. But I have given him my older YouTube cameras, and he's made a lot of videos with them. They're just not outdoorsy. They're video game and backyard videos. And they're holy Cloverfield. They're like my early videos where I'm constantly moving the camera and making everyone sick. But I do edit them for him. I do edit them together. He's a great kid. Dylan is very adventurous and outgoing, and I would say he's an extrovert. He needs friends, he needs people. He gets very bored and lonely if he's not stimulated by external sources. Jude is very much an introvert like me. Like his mom actually is very introverted. He would much rather be spending time alone, kind of doing his own thing, even though he does occasionally crave friends. And through this pandemic situation, thank God they've had each other, because they haven't been able to be around friends as much. But in a nutshell, I don't think I'm going to make too many more videos with my boys. We go camping and I don't film it. I do that quite frequently, actually. And I put them up here because I think it's important for other kids to see that you can do this too. I know kids watch this, and I just want them to know that they can get out and do this stuff too with somebody, you know. That's why I make videos with my kids. It's not because they want to be in the videos or because I want to show off my kids or anything like that. It's just to show anyone who might be watching, hey, you can do this too. So that's why. And the odds are stacked against continuing to do it just because they don't like being in the videos. And the other thing is it takes away from the outing when I'm there with my boys and I'm having to figure out all the filming and talking to the camera. Those are times when I'm not talking to my kids and I'm not interacting with my kids the same way I would if the camera were off. So, you know, Murphy, not my oldest son, my second oldest son, he's in a lot of my older videos. When he was in his late teens, he liked to go with. He doesn't say much in the videos. I've invited him multiple times on these trips. His schedule is very different than mine, and he's not always able to come. We haven't been able to have an outing together in some time. And some of that might also be that he doesn't want to be on camera. He loves to get out. He gets out. He does what I do. He goes out by himself and backpacks and hikes all alone, sometimes with a friend, and he takes a few pictures once in a while, puts them on Instagram here and there. He's not big on video, so if I do invite him, I probably have to leave the camera behind too. People have asked about him. Why isn't he in your videos anymore? I've mentioned it to him, and he just kind of goes, huh. So he's very quiet. Sometimes we have heart-to-hearts, and sometimes we're very similar. So sometimes just being in a room, not saying anything, that's okay too. So he's working. He worked last night. and he's off today, and he'll probably go hike Ben Lomond today, the highest peak in Weber County that I've made a video of here before. I'm just rambling. Thinking about my kids, I guess. They're on my mind. I will be picking up Dylan and Jude today after this trip, so I see Dylan and Jude pretty much every day. The other thing is, I really like putting these videos in episodes instead of one long video like I used to do. Makes it easier for people to watch. I get more views that way, but I'm more interested in keeping people's attention and giving them something wholesome, enduring, worthwhile to watch that isn't going to bore them. And also, it gives me an opportunity if I need to take a weekend to myself and just be home and get some extra rest and mow the lawn and things like that, and not go into the mountains. It happens once in a great while, but it does happen. Then I know I still have videos to upload. Winter's going to be a challenge though. I'm not a huge winter camper. I only have a handful of winter videos on here, so I'm trying to film as much as I can before winter so that I have a lot to show when I'm not up here, when it's the dead of winter. And I don't know how it's going to play out, guys. Either way, I'll have regular uploads, even if I'm just doing a gear review or something like that through the winter. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together. You guys leave comments down below. Give me ideas, thoughts, feelings about it. I'm open to suggestions. And it looks like our water is boiling on our mashed potatoes. Mashed potato time. They're pretty mushy. I've boiled them so long. But they're warm. They're really warm. A lot warmer than those beans were last night. There you go. Not very exciting. They kind of smell like fresh cut grass, like the front lawn on a summer day. Strange. They almost have a minty smell. Want some? They're good. They they're a notch above. You know, a lot of backpackers bring instant mashed potatoes with them. They're a notch above those. There are even chunks in this, which makes me think these aren't instant. These are actual mashed potatoes sealed in a bag. This is actually a really good breakfast. It's warm, it's smooth and comforting, savory. I mean, you eat hash browns for breakfast, right? It's mutilated hash browns for breakfast today. Which, I might add, is about the same consistency as my mashed pancakes at Hope Lake. I'll link that video down below. I don't know if I said that already. If you haven't seen my last video, I really screwed breakfast up on that one. I was not awake. I over-measured, and anyway. I feel a lot more rested this time. I slept good. I had to move a bit because of the cold and just to change positions, but I feel really good. I feel rested and ready to take on the exploration of the Notch Lake area.